Have you ever wondered why some people seem untouched by time? Not just in appearance, but in presence, in spirit, in the way they inhabit the world. It's as if their soul moves to a rhythm deeper than the ticking clock, as though they are animated by something ancient, eternal, and unshaken by age. The answer is not found in creams or genetics. The answer lives in the unconscious, in the alignment of the inner world, in the soul's quiet refusal to betray itself for the approval of others. In Jungian psychology, the concept of the inner child is not merely a metaphor for childishness or immaturity, but a living archetype within the psyche that holds the original essence of who we are before the world imposed its expectations and narratives upon us. The inner child represents a state of emotional honesty, spontaneity, creativity, and the capacity for wonder. For those who appear younger than their age, this phenomenon often reflects a deep and continuing relationship with that inner child. They have not buried this part of themselves beneath layers of persona or cultural programming. Instead, they remain open to life's mysteries, unafraid of vulnerability, and willing to engage the world with curiosity rather than cynicism. This psychological openness often has profound physiological consequences. The body listens to the psyche. When the psyche is alive with wonder and emotional vibrancy, the body softens. It retains a lightness in the eyes, a flexibility in expression, and a glow that resists the stiffness and dullness brought on by chronic emotional suppression or adult disillusionment. These individuals often carry a playful energy, not in the sense of immaturity, but as a soulful quality that invites joy, novelty, and compassion. In many people, the inner child is repressed, neglected, or shamed out of existence through trauma, ridicule, or social conditioning. The consequences are more than emotional, they are physical. The loss of that internal vitality manifests as premature aging, heaviness in posture, tension in the muscles, and a hardening of facial expressions. On the other hand, when the inner child is acknowledged, nurtured, and brought into conscious integration with the adult self, it infuses the psyche with renewal. Jung often spoke of the child archetype as a symbol of potentiality, of new beginnings, of the eternal aspect of the self that defies temporal decay. People who reflect this archetype authentically are seen as ageless because they embody renewal and regeneration in their emotional lives. They are not stuck in linear time. They move through cycles of life with flexibility, much like a child naturally adapts to changes without becoming rigid or cynical. This presence of the inner child also keeps the emotional system fluid. Emotional flexibility, the ability to feel fully and process honestly, keeps stress levels down and emotional resilience high. Chronic stress accelerates aging, but emotional honesty, which is natural to the inner child, helps the body regulate, heal, and rejuvenate. The ones who age slowly often aren't clinging to youth. They are simply still alive in their deepest sense. They've allowed the inner child to remain a vital companion on the journey of adulthood, and in doing so, they've retained a vitality that transcends biological age. Their physical appearance becomes the outward expression of an inward truth. The child within them is still present, still breathing, still seeing the world as something worth loving and engaging with. This is not regression, but spiritual integration. They do not chase youth. They embody timelessness through authenticity and psychological wholeness. In Carl Jung's framework, the persona is the social mask we wear to navigate society, the version of ourselves that we present to meet expectations, gain acceptance, and function within cultural norms. While necessary, the danger lies in over-identifying with this mask, becoming so entangled in appearances and performance that the authentic self is buried beneath it. For those who appear younger than their age, the spiritual truth often lies in their refusal to exhaust themselves through the maintenance of a rigid persona. They do not constantly perform. They are not consumed by the need to impress, compete, or fit into predefined roles. This lack of inner conflict between who they are and who they pretend to be creates a psychological coherence that radiates outward. Without the chronic strain of self-betrayal, their nervous system remains calmer, their facial expressions softer, their bodies less weighed down by the tension that comes from living dishonestly. The persona becomes exhausting when it is worn too long and too tightly. Over time, individuals who rely heavily on their personas begin to experience psychological fatigue, disconnection, and even existential dread. They begin to feel hollow or invisible beneath the expectations they've worked so hard to fulfill. The soul is not nourished by applause or conformity. It is nourished by truth. When people live far from their inner truth, that misalignment creates internal fragmentation, and the stress of that fragmentation becomes embodied. The skin dulls, the eyes lose light, and the body stiffens. This is not mere metaphor. The psyche and soma are in constant communication. In contrast, those who drop the mask early, or who never cling to it tightly, preserve an authenticity that acts like a wellspring of vitality. Their presence feels honest. Their faces reveal a full spectrum of emotions. They do not age prematurely because they do not live from performance. They live from being. What truly exhausts the soul is pretending. Pretending to be stronger than you are, pretending to be indifferent when you care, pretending to belong where you feel alienated. Over time, these psychic betrayals accumulate and begin to erode the body. The one who appears younger is often the one who has opted out of this charade. They have chosen instead to embrace the fluidity of being, allowing themselves to evolve without rigid attachments to identity. Jung would say they are in contact with the self, the totality of who they are, beyond the narrow confines of persona. This contact with the self frees them from the need to please everyone. It liberates them from social fatigue. That liberation is felt in their body. They walk differently. They rest without guilt. Their smile comes from a deeper place. Youthfulness in this context is not cosmetic. It is spiritual. It is the consequence of choosing truth over performance, presence over pretense. The energy that would otherwise be spent maintaining an image is redirected toward living, connecting, and expressing genuinely. This spiritual economy protects them from the decay that comes with pretending to be someone they are not. In Jungian psychology, the ego and the unconscious are two essential components of the psyche, often in conflict when there is a lack of self-awareness or inner harmony. The ego represents the conscious identity, the I that navigates daily life, while the unconscious contains all that is repressed, denied, or forgotten, including both light and shadow aspects of the self. When the ego lives in ignorance or denial of the unconscious, it is constantly under siege from within. Nightmares, intrusive thoughts, irrational fears, emotional volatility. These are the signs of a psyche at war with itself. This inner battle generates stress, defensiveness, and psychological rigidity, all of which manifest in the body. Over time, such internal conflict accelerates the aging process. But when someone has done the deep psychological work to reconcile with their unconscious, to face what they fear in themselves and integrate it, they establish a profound inner peace. That peace is not passive. It is dynamic, alive, and radiates through the body. Such individuals often appear more youthful because their energy is not being drained by internal war. There is no need to fight themselves every day just to exist. When the unconscious is acknowledged, respected, and even dialogued with. It becomes an ally rather than an adversary. Jung believed that shadow work, bringing the dark and unacceptable parts of the self into consciousness, was essential to individuation. Those who engage in this process stop projecting their disowned parts onto others. They become less reactive, less judgmental, and less trapped in fear. The psyche begins to harmonize. The nervous system calms. The chronic muscle tension caused by suppressed emotion loosens. The immune system stabilizes. The face softens. This is not simply psychological, it is biological. The absence of inner war frees the body from constant emergency mode. The result is a sense of vitality and physical resilience that defies chronological age. Others may interpret it as looking young, but it is really a reflection of spiritual integration. Living in harmony with the unconscious also means embracing mystery, complexity, and paradox. Such individuals are not obsessed with control or perfection. They allow themselves to feel what they feel without shame. They let life move through them rather than constantly resisting it. This openness keeps the psyche flexible and the body supple. Youthfulness, in this sense, is a byproduct of surrender, not of striving. Jung often spoke of symbols and dreams as messengers from the unconscious. People who attend to their inner life in this way develop a relationship with themselves that is profound and nourishing. This relationship becomes a sanctuary, reducing the psychological need for validation, competition, or external achievement. The result is a person who feels centered, grounded, and at peace, and whose physical appearance reflects this inner equilibrium. Aging rapidly is often a symptom of spiritual disconnection. Those who appear younger are not simply lucky. They are often those who have faced themselves, made peace with their inner contradictions, and chosen self-awareness over denial. Their vitality is not skin-deep, it is soul-deep, and it flows from a psyche no longer split in conflict. Carl Jung believed that every human being carries within them a blueprint for becoming who they truly are, a path known as individuation. This journey isn't about becoming perfect, but about becoming whole. To walk that path requires authenticity, courage, and a willingness to listen to the soul's calling rather than society's demands. When someone is aligned with their inner purpose, when their outer life mirrors the truth of their inner world, a kind of timelessness enters their being. Time begins to affect them differently. The body does not carry the same weight of resistance or the same chronic fatigue of inner conflict. Those who appear younger than their age are often not simply blessed by genetics, but are living in such deep authenticity that they are not wasting energy fighting against themselves or chasing hollow goals. They are not burning themselves out trying to live a life that does not belong to them. Instead, their actions flow from their essence. That alignment generates coherence across the psyche and soma, and coherence is a state of healing, vitality, and longevity. In modern life, many people live in contradiction to their soul's truth. They take jobs that deaden their spirit, form relationships that suffocate their essence, and follow paths designed by others. This misalignment creates a dissonance that the body cannot ignore. Stress accumulates, the immune system weakens, the face tightens, the eyes lose their shine. The person may seem functional on the outside, but the soul is quietly starving. Aging becomes not just a process of biology, but a reflection of spiritual exhaustion. In contrast, the one who dares to follow their inner compass, even when the world calls them foolish, walks a different timeline. They are not driven by the ticking clock of external milestones, but by the inner rhythm of growth, insight, and creative expression. Their energy feels fresh, not because they are clinging to youth, but because they are living in truth. Jung taught that when the soul is heard, the whole being becomes more integrated, and that integration expresses itself in a vitality that transcends appearances. Those in alignment often carry a quiet glow, a relaxed presence, and a depth of emotion that suggests both wisdom and innocence. They are not drained by pretense. They do not grind themselves into roles that feel false. Their laughter is unforced, their eyes are alert, and their physical being feels animated by something greater than the ego. They do not age according to the expectations of a culture obsessed with surfaces. Hanks, they age according to the spirit's movement, which is cyclical, not linear. While others rush forward, counting years and accomplishments, they are immersed in the eternal now. That presence radiates as youthfulness. Others may look at them and say, "You haven't changed a bit," but the truth is, they have changed deeply, just not in the ways that destroy or diminish. They have changed in ways that bring them closer to the source of life itself, and that source does not age, it simply deepens. Carl Jung understood that emotions are not simply fleeting reactions, but powerful psychic energies that, if not acknowledged and integrated, become autonomous and destructive. When emotions are repressed, they do not disappear. They retreat into the unconscious and take form as neurosis, psychosomatic illness, or chronic anxiety. Over time, this internal pressure begins to affect the body. Stress hormones flood the system, muscle tension becomes habitual, sleep becomes fragmented, and the face adopts the lines of emotional suppression. The aging process accelerates because the body is forced to carry the weight of unexpressed sorrow, unspoken rage, and denied longing. In contrast, those who age gracefully or appear younger than their years often have a different relationship with emotion. They do not fear their inner world. They feel deeply and process those feelings with honesty and courage. They do not let pain stagnate inside of them. Instead, they engage in a kind of emotional alchemy, transforming grief into compassion, shame into humility, and anger into clarity. This transmutation lightens the psychic burden and allows the body to move, breathe, and regenerate without obstruction. When people repress emotion, they cut off vital parts of their psychic energy. That energy, if integrated, could be used for creativity, intimacy, and growth, but when blocked, it festers. Jung believed that unprocessed emotional experiences become part of the shadow, and the more we reject these parts of ourselves, the more they control us from below the surface. This unconscious tension doesn't just disrupt the psyche, it leaves physical evidence. It weighs down the body with a heaviness that no external treatment can fully erase. Emotional repression shortens breath, tightens the skin, and dulls the eyes. The body begins to mirror the closed, armored state of the soul. But when a person has the strength to sit with grief, to name their fears, and to give language to their inner life, something begins to open. The energy that was once used to suppress is now free to circulate. The nervous system becomes more regulated. The immune system strengthens. The face regains softness, and the eyes regain light. This process is not cosmetic. It is spiritual and cellular. Emotional alchemy is not about being cheerful or positive all the time. It is about being real. It is about facing life's inevitable losses and disappointments without becoming rigid or bitter. People who do this work radiate an authenticity that others interpret as youthfulness. But it is not youth. They are simply not carrying the psychic weight that ages most people prematurely. They do not smile to hide pain. They smile because they've touched the depths of suffering and emerged more whole. Their emotional honesty becomes a source of vitality. Jung would say they have embraced the full spectrum of their humanity and, in doing so, become more aligned with the self. That alignment expresses itself as ease in the body, openness in the face, and a presence that feels both grounded and luminous. They have aged, but without hardening. Their spirit remains flexible, and that flexibility is reflected in every cell. In Jungian thought, archetypes are fundamental patterns or symbols embedded within the collective unconscious that express themselves through universal themes, dreams, and behavior. These archetypes, such as the child, the lover, the sage, the warrior, are not mere roles, but deep psychic energies that shape how we engage with life. When someone appears younger than their age, the phenomenon often arises from their unconscious embodiment of specific archetypal energies that are timeless in nature. This is not about imitating youth, but about expressing an energy that transcends time altogether. People who carry the archetype of the innocent, for instance, may possess a natural openness, curiosity, and purity of intention. Others might embody the explorer, always seeking novelty, change, and discovery. Some radiate the lover's deep emotional presence and capacity for connection. These energies are not dependent on age. They are ageless because they belong to the realm of myth and spirit, not the physical calendar. Jung emphasized that these archetypes, when integrated rather than possessed, bring vitality and wholeness. To be possessed by an archetype is to be consumed by it unconsciously, often leading to imbalance or rigidity. But when someone integrates multiple archetypes consciously, they carry an energy that is multidimensional and fluid. This fluidity keeps the psyche flexible and alive, which in turn manifests physically. The body mirrors the energy it carries. Those who have welcomed and balanced youthful archetypes without clinging to them artificially often radiate an aura that feels vibrant and dynamic. Others may perceive them as young, but it is not the shell that defines their youth. It is the timeless quality of the energies they carry within. These individuals do not resist aging, nor are they obsessed with maintaining youth. Instead, they live in alignment with archetypal rhythms that exist outside of time. In them, the inner child may still play, the lover still feels, the explorer still seeks, and the sage still reflects. This multiplicity keeps their spirit animated, and that animation becomes visible in their movement, voice, and presence. They are not trying to be something they are not. They are simply expressing the full range of what they already are. Jung saw this as a hallmark of individuation, the emergence of the self through the conscious engagement with archetypal energies. The self is not bound by age, status, or societal expectation. It is the totality of the psyche, and when someone touches that deep center, they often seem to glow with a kind of spiritual vibrance that others misread as physical youth. To be in touch with archetypal energy is to carry a resonance that others feel instinctively. It bypasses intellect and goes straight to the unconscious recognition. This person is alive in a deeper way. This vitality, this richness of spirit does not age the way skin and bone do. It stays luminous because it is not personal. It belongs to something eternal, moving through the individual. The face may age, but the energy behind the eyes does not, and that energy is what makes others pause and wonder why this person seems untouched by time. The reason you appear younger than your age is not a mystery of biology alone. It is a spiritual condition. It is the result of psychological integrity, of choosing authenticity over performance, of integrating rather than denying, of living in deep resonance with the archetypes that animate the soul. You have made peace with the inner child rather than silencing it, stepped out from behind the mask of persona, and ceased the exhausting war between ego and unconscious. You have allowed yourself to feel fully, to suffer consciously, and to transform emotion into meaning. You have dared to follow the voice of the self, even when it led you away from the well-trodden path, and in doing so, you have come to embody a timeless vitality, a glow not of the skin, but of the soul. This is not the illusion of youth, but the truth of spiritual wholeness. For the one who is truly alive inside does not merely defy time. They transcend it.